Hello everybody and welcome to another video. Today we are talking about postmodernism. Postmodernism is a broad and multifaceted movement that emerged in the mid-20th century as a reaction against the principles and ideologies of modernism. Modernism, that's the topic we should do a video on as well. I need to write these down. Characterised by a sceptical and ironic attitude towards the grand narratives and ideologies, postmodernism embraces plurality, diversity, and the blending of different styles and media. So let's have a look at the historical context to start off with. Postmodernism arose during the 1960s and 1970s, a period marked by social upheaval, when is it not all the time? Political unrest, and rapid technological advancement. No surprise there then. The movement gained prominence as artists, architects, and theorists began to question the rigid formalism and utopian ideals of modernism. It's the same story, isn't it? Again, somebody does something, there's a new thing, people think things, and then people think, why are you thinking that? I don't think that. And then they do something different. Postmodernism's emergence was influenced by developments in philosophy, particularly the works of thinkers such as Jean-François Lyotard, Jacques Derrida, and Michel Foucault. Postmodernism is known for its eclectic approach, combining elements from various historical styles and movements. It rejects the idea of a single unified style, instead embracing a multitude of perspectives and techniques. The notion of style is problematic. I know I say this about everything. Everything's problematic. Okay, you form a new style, don't you? You do something new and it's like, what are you doing? That's weird. And then people start to characterise it and put it into traits and features and categorise it, and then they go, oh, we can repeat this now, or we can do some pastiche on it. Well, postmodernism rejected all forms of style. Well, no, they didn't, because they had lots of styles. They just put all the styles into one. Postmodern art often employs irony, parody, and humour to critique cultural norms and established artistic conventions. This approach challenges the seriousness and elitism associated with modernism. I like that, actually. I like the approach to critiquing the absurdity of something esoteric or elitist. Postmodern works frequently feature fragmented and deconstructed forms reflecting the complexity and instability of contemporary life. This technique undermines traditional notions of coherence and unity. Undermines traditional notions basically is just me saying they did something different, people didn't like it. Postmodernism blurs the boundaries between high art and popular culture. Artists draw inspiration from a wide range of sources, including mass media, advertising, and everyday objects. You could also say that in some classical pieces of music they may draw on pop songs, for instance, or reorchestrate a classical piece of music in a poppy way. Postmodern art often includes self-referential elements where the work comments on its own creation or nature. The self-awareness extends to literature where metafictional techniques highlight the artificiality of narratives. I like that. So everything's all about highlighting an absurdity. So you could say that some of Brecht's theatre is postmodern in the sense that it is metafictional. Well, no, not quite actually, but it does take you out of yourself. It took you out of the setting of the theatre by constantly reminding you that you were watching a play. But postmodern fiction would be more like people in the story talking about it being a story being written. Postmodern artists frequently use pastiche and appropriation, borrowing and recontextualising elements from existing works. This technique challenges the notion of originality and authorship. Maybe I am postmodernist. Somebody called me postmodernist once and I was like, no, I'm not. But maybe I do like some of these techniques. And I find things absurd anyway, and I do mix high and low culture. Anyway, notable figures now. Jean-François Lyotard. Although primarily a philosopher, Lyotard's ideas about the postmodern condition and the decline of grand narratives have profoundly influenced postmodern art and culture. We have Robert Venturi, an architect and theorist. Venturi's book, Complexity and Contradiction in Architecture, and his work on buildings like the Venturi house exemplify postmodern architecture's embrace of complexity and historical reference. Then we have Andy Warhol, a central figure in the pop art movement. His use of mass production techniques and commercial imagery reflects postmodern themes of appropriation and irony. So mass production techniques, for instance, if something's mass produced, does the value of the unique original artwork get reduced? Therefore, if it can be reproduced in such a mass way, but then he takes that notion of mass reproduction and makes that part of the art to say something about mass production. Then we have Cindy Sherman. Sherman's photographic work, particularly her untitled Film Stills series, explores themes of identity, gender, and representation. Sound familiar? Her use of self-portraiture and role-playing highlights postmodern concerns with the construction of identity. So this is something that carries through to today, even this notion, this concept, identity, gender, representation. We're still doing things like this today in our artworks. Then we have Julian Schnabel, a painter and filmmaker. Schnabel's large-scale works combine elements from various styles and media. His use of unconventional materials and historical references embodies the eclecticism of postmodern art. Some people could describe him as a neo-expressionist art. So again, you can think of neo-expressionist as new expressionist. So he's almost going back to the expressionistic era that happened decades before. Schnabel reintroduced human sentiment to painting and eschewed flatness, heaping materials onto unconventional supports such as black velvet, weathered tarpaulins and cardboard. So those are his unconventional materials, just not used typically at the time. Art's evolved a lot more since then. In fact, sometimes I think art just has to be weird. Then we have Barbara Kruger. Known for her bold text-based works, Kruger combines images from mass media with provocative slogans. Her work critiques consumerism, power structures and gender roles using the visual language of advertising. So she's taking things that already exist, quasi like Duchamp's ready-mades. It's similar to Dadaism, isn't it? There are some crossover, but she takes found things, already existing advertisements, slogans, and combines them to give a new meaning, combining two different things in a different way. So there's this juxtaposition going on. But I guess her juxtapositions are clever, like they're thought through to give the image a new meaning and then to say something about visual advertising. There's a phrase, I think, therefore I am, coined by the philosopher Descartes. Then she's got this thing called I shop, therefore I am, which is the same thing, but technically true because you're not anything in society if not a consumer now. So she's saying something more about that. According to the Museum of Modern Art, Barbara Kruger's "You invest in the divinity of the masterpiece" has appropriated a well-known passage from Michelangelo's Sistine Chapel ceiling frescoes, where the creation of man is represented through the touch of God's finger to Adam's. Combining a black and white reproduction of this painting with text, she draws a parallel between the biblical creation story and that of a lauded masterpiece of Western painting. Kruger's background in graphic design is evident in the way she boldly overlays the clipped image with her aggressive text. By using the word "you," Kruger implicates us in continuing patriarchal narratives of religion and art history. So she's blaming the viewer, but it's true, isn't it? Postmodernism has had a profound and lasting impact on various fields, including art, architecture, literature, and cultural theory. Its emphasis on plurality, diversity, and the deconstruction of traditional boundaries has led to a more inclusive and democratic approach to cultural production. Okay. In architecture, postmodernism has influenced the design of buildings that blend historical references with modern elements, as seen in the works of architects like Michael Graves and Frank Gehry. In literature, postmodern techniques such as metafiction and intertextuality have been employed by writers like Thomas Pynchon and Don DeLillo. The movement's critique of grand narratives and embrace of cultural relativism have also shaped contemporary discussions about identity, power, and representation. Postmodernism's legacy is evident in the ongoing debates about the role of art and culture in society, as well as in continued experimentation with new forms and media. In conclusion, postmodernism represents a radical departure from the ideals of modernism, embracing complexity, contradiction, and the interplay of different styles and perspectives. Its influence extends across various disciplines, challenging traditional notions of art, culture, and identity, while opening up new possibilities for creative expression, so you could say. In the next video, what I'm going to do is have a look at postmodernism in music and see if we can extrapolate anything there. So thank you for watching this video. It has been an overview of postmodernism, just a brief overview. In the next video, I'd like to delve a bit deeper into the potential postmodernist music art form in a bit more detail. So thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now. Okay, Postmodernism.